Welcome back, friends. Let's get into reading some more of these Reddit stories. Am I the a-hole for refusing to let my brother's fiance wear my late mother's wedding dress? I'm not sure. Let's find out. I, 30 female, lost my mom 5 years ago. Sorry. Before she passed, she gave me her wedding dress. She told me she wanted me to have it, whether I chose to wear it at my own wedding, repurpose it, or just keep it as a memory of her. It's one of the most sentimental things I own. My older brother, Jake, 33 male, is getting married in a few months to his fiancée, Laura, 29 female. We have a good relationship, but we're not super close. Last week, Laura asked if we could meet up for coffee, and that's when she dropped a bombshell. She told me she had always dreamed of wearing a meaningful dress when she got married and thought it would be so special if she could wear my mom's wedding dress. She said it would be a beautiful way to honor my mom at the wedding. I was completely caught off guard. I told her that while I appreciate her sentiment, my mom gave the dress to me, and it was very personal. I wasn't comfortable letting someone else wear it, especially because I still might want to use it in some way for my own wedding one day. Laura immediately got upset and said I was being selfish. She told me it wasn't fair because she never got to meet my mom and that this would be a way for her to feel connected to her. She also said my mom would have wanted her to wear it since she's joining the family. I stood my ground and told her no. I suggested she find another way to incorporate my mom's memory, maybe by wearing a piece of my mom's jewelry or a pair of her shoes, but Laura said that it wasn't the same. Now my brother is involved, and he told me I should reconsider because it would mean a lot to Laura. He said I was being unnecessarily difficult over just a dress. Even some of my relatives are saying I should think about the bigger picture and how this would be a touching tribute. I feel guilty, but at the same time, this dress means the world to me. So Reddit, am I the a-hole for refusing to let her wear it? No, absolutely not. Your mom left you that wedding dress for you to do with on your wedding day, not for your brother's new fiance, new soon-to-be sister-in-law, whatever. It's for you, and if you don't feel comfortable letting her wear it, you should not feel guilty for that. So this one's asking for advice, so let's see if I can help. It says, am I the a-hole for making my brother's fiance take a paternity test before paying for their wedding? Maybe. My 32 female younger brother, 28 male, has always been a bit impulsive. He met his fiancée Emma, 27 female, last year, and within 6 months they were engaged. A month after that, she got pregnant. Our family was shocked but supportive. My parents are not wealthy, but I've done well for myself, and my brother asked if I could help pay for their wedding. I agreed with one condition: paternity test. Before you judge, hear me out. Emma was dating someone else right before getting together with my brother. I have nothing against her, but the timeline of her pregnancy made me suspicious. My brother is positive the baby is his, but I wasn't convinced. If I was going to shell out $20,000 for a wedding, I wanted to make sure he wasn't being played. Emma was furious. She called me cruel and said I was trying to humiliate her. My brother was torn, but eventually agreed because he really needed the money. The test came back. He's the father. I apologized, and I thought that was the end of it. But Emma refuses to forgive me. She disinvited me from the wedding and told my brother she never wanted to see me again. My brother is upset but says he has to side with his future wife. My parents think I was out of line, but some friends say I was being cautious. So am I the a-hole for making her take a paternity test before paying for their wedding? I don't think you're the a-hole for that. I mean, $20,000 is a lot of money, especially for a wedding. And it sucks that she felt humiliated. But at the same time, like I said, that's a lot of money. I would be a little suspicious too. And if you were just being cautious, I don't see why eventually why she wouldn't forgive you eventually. But she already disinvited you, so I wouldn't pay for the wedding at that point either. So I guess that's my advice. Don't pay for the wedding if she's not willing to invite you. This one's short, sweet, and to the point. Am I the a-hole if I divorce my husband for not wiping his butt? Um, I don't know, why is he not wiping his butt? Yep, that's pretty much the title. My husband recently started saying that he is not going to wipe his butt anymore after using the restroom. He got into his head that alpha males do not wipe, therefore he's no longer doing it. He has been, for the past 2 days, been walking around everywhere we go telling guys alphas don't wipe. He's very serious about not wiping, and he's not listening to reason. I don't know what to do, and I fear that this might be the start of the end of our marriage. How do I convince him to wipe? Girl, let him smell himself. That is so bad. First of all, that's so unhygienic. Second of all, that's so unhealthy. And third, ew, no one wants to be around someone who doesn't wipe their butt after pooping or using the restroom in general. That's disgusting. Nah, I'd divorce him too. I'd be like, wipe your butt or your butt's getting out. Am I the a-hole for saying I wouldn't take care of my sister's kids and doing what I said? From the title, it sounds like you set a boundary and your sister's not having it, so let's see if I'm right. So me, 22 female, and my sister Linda, 30, have never had a good relationship. We have been arguing for as long as I can remember. She loves being around people, and when we lived together, she would often invite friends and our family over. We always had something to celebrate. I don't like all that. I prefer to have silence. She also often borrowed my things. Her friends came into my room without asking, etc. When I was 16, we had a huge fight about her wedding. Since then, I have limited my contact with her. I never speak to her first, and we never talk at family gatherings. I haven't gone to her birthday party for years, and I haven't invited her to mine. I also barely know her children, 5 male and 3 female. I mostly see them only during the holidays. But on February 15th, my mother told me that Linda would bring her children the next day and that I would take care of them. I was confused. I never agreed to this, and I already had a plan for that day. I said I wouldn't do that. My mother said she'd talk with Linda. Then Linda called me and said she was going to drop the kids off anyway. I said if she does that, her kids would be home alone. She didn't care. The next day, Linda showed up with her children. She tried to explain to me that her children's schedule looked like, and every time I told her, I'm leaving the house, I'm not caring for your children, she didn't listen to me and she left. After about 10 to 15 minutes, my friend showed up. I sent Linda a picture of me sitting in their car and said, take your kids, I'm leaving. I also sent this to her husband, and then I turned off the phone. When I returned at 8 p.m., my parents were quiet, but I saw that they were not happy. The next day, Linda showed up at our house and started yelling at me. She called me lazy and said I could have hurt her kids. I said I did exactly what I said I would do. We argued for something like 2 hours, and then I asked her where she had to go and why she chose me of all people. She couldn't answer, and she started yelling at me again. I later told my friends about it, and they were divided. Some said I had done nothing wrong, but others got a bit annoyed and said that if they had known we were leaving the kids, they wouldn't have gone anywhere with me. Just to clarify something, the reason I didn't leave right away was because A, I still wasn't ready, B, my friends weren't there yet. I also didn't let her in the house. Linda has the keys. It is not my house, it is our parents' house. Okay, I don't think you are the a-hole because you told her that you were not watching her kids. You told her you had plans. You gave her many warnings that you were not watching them and that you were leaving the house. So she can't say that you were lazy or that you put her kids in any type of danger. You not only let her know you were leaving, you also let, I'm assuming, the father, because you said it was her husband, that you were leaving. You let him know as well. So no, I don't think you're the a-hole. I think that it's not fair for your parents or your sister to just assume that you are going to watch your children when you don't really have a relationship with them. And they just told you. They didn't even ask you. So no, I don't think you're the a-hole. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to babysit any kid ever again? Maybe. So I was a single mom with the dad not in the picture after escaping him when child was less than a year old and no grandparents. So basically I did it all on my own. Because I was very much bound to my kid, I ended up babysitting everyone else's. So many different kids, and often made the decision once my kid was grown, I'll never babysit again, like not even for 5 minutes. So, new neighbor, very close proximity, is a newly single mom, and there's been a couple of hints dropped, but I'm not going to be swayed, not even if she needs to pop to the shops for 10 minutes. I'm also sure she's going to ask, how do I say no without sounding like a total a-hole? Just tell her straight up, be honest with her. Just say, love to help you out, but I'm not available for that. Or, I will not be watching your child. That's it. Point blank, period. You don't need a reason. I mean, it's not your kid, so. Am I the a-hole for uninviting my mom from my wedding after finding out what she did behind my back? What did she do? I, 26 female, am getting married in 3 months. Congrats. I've been planning this wedding for over a year, and my fiance and I are paying for everything ourselves. My mom and I have a rocky relationship. She's always been critical of my weight, my career choices, and even my fiance. But I still wanted her there because, well, she's my mom. Last week, I found out she's been secretly trying to convince my fiance to call off the wedding because she thinks I'm not ready and that he deserves better. She even offered him money to walk away. I only found out because my future mother-in-law overheard her and told me. I confronted my mom and she didn't even deny it. She said she was just looking out for my best interests and that one day I'll thank her. I was furious and told her she's no longer welcome at the wedding. Now my entire family is saying I'm being dramatic and that a mother's love is complicated. My fiance fully supports my decision, but now I'm second guessing myself. Am I the a-hole for banning my own mother from my wedding? No, absolutely not. If she's not supporting you, she doesn't need to be there. And as a mother, I would never go behind my child's back and ask their fiance to leave if I wasn't okay with their relationship. That is a conversation I would have with my child, and even then, it's their decision. I have no right to butt into that relationship. It's not mine. So, no one should use the excuse, a mother's love is complicated. No. You either love and support your child or you don't. Am I the a-hole for not allowing my friend to bring her child to my house after she repeatedly ignores my house rules? I'm going to say no based on the title, but let's see. I, 28 female, have a friend, Emma, 30 female, who I've known for a few years. She has a 5-year-old son, Ethan, who is a sweet kid but can be a bit rowdy. I've always been upfront with Emma about my house rules, especially since I don't have kids of my own. I prefer to keep my home calm and organized, and I don't want kids running around or making a mess in areas I don't allow. The issue started when Emma would come over and not supervise Ethan as closely as I expected. He would go into rooms that were off limits, get into things that weren't his, and make noise during times when I was working from home. I spoke to Emma about it several times, asking her to be more mindful of the house rules and her son's behavior. She promised she'd be more careful, but it continued to happen. A few weeks ago, she asked if she could come over with Ethan again. I hesitated and then told her that due to the past experiences, I wasn't comfortable with her bringing him over anymore unless she could ensure he'd follow the house rules. She seemed upset and said I was being unreasonable, especially since I've never had a problem with her bringing him in the past. She suggested that I needed to relax and let kids be kids. I told her that I wasn't trying to control her child, but I valued my space and my house rules, and if she couldn't respect them, it would be better if she didn't visit until she could. She said I was being too rigid and that I was making her feel unwelcome. Now she's angry with me and hasn't spoken to me much since. Some of our mutual friends think I'm overreacting, while others agree with me that my house should be respected. So am I the a-hole for not allowing my friend to bring her child to my house anymore? No, you're not an a-hole in any way, because it's your house, it's your space, and how you choose to have your space is your choice. They're supposed to be guests in your home. And as I see it, if you are going to be a guest in someone's space, respect that space. And if you cannot handle your child in someone else's home, you need to leave. Like, I would never let my kids personally break the rules in houses, and if they do, there are consequences for that. If you're not giving your kid consequences for obviously breaking the rules, that's a problem that you need to handle on your own time, not wait until they're at someone else's house doing what they shouldn't be doing. Am I the a-hole for calling CPS when my daughter was making my granddaughter do the night shift with the babies? I don't know. I'm a mom of 7 daughters and a grandmother to 28 grandkids. My oldest grandkid is 16, and she's the reason I'm sharing this. My daughter, Julia, has 5 kids, 16, 5, 3, 11 months, and a newborn. I went over to help her out since she just had a baby last week, thinking she could use some assistance with the housework and all that. I made dinner and put together a cute snack basket for those late night wake-ups. When it was time for me to leave, it started raining, which I really hate driving in, so I asked if I could crash there for the night. They said yes, but I'd have to sleep on the sofa. My granddaughter offered me her bed since she has a big one for 2. I was relieved because I didn't want to sleep on the couch. Around 2:45 a.m., I heard the baby crying and wasn't feeling great, so I went downstairs to grab some lemon honey tea. That's when I found my granddaughter up with the newborn and the 11-month-old. I asked her why she was on duty instead of her parents. She told me she had the night shift with the babies because her parents wanted her to have some responsibility. I got really upset because it's not fair for her to lose sleep over kids who aren't hers. The next morning, I told Julia about it, and she said that older siblings helping out is pretty normal. I reminded her that I never did that with her and her siblings, and her response was, "So, I'm not you, these are my kids." My granddaughter mentioned she's thinking about getting pregnant or married so she can move out. I told her that that's not the answer, and she said she feels like she doesn't have another option. I ended up calling CPS to share what was going on. They spoke to Julia, my son-in-law, and my granddaughter, but said there wasn't enough evidence to take it any further. Julia thought it was a jerk move to involve CPS and said I should be grateful she's willing to stay low contact instead of going no contact. As a mom and grandma, I can't help but feel like I stirred up drama in my granddaughter's life. Am I the a-hole? No, you were just looking out for your granddaughter. I think that it's ridiculous that your daughter is making her do that. She doesn't need the responsibility of children that aren't hers. I understand having a 16-year-old, get a job or after school, taking care of other kids, babysitting during the day or on the weekend. But no, there is no reason that you should have your child take care of your newborn and your 11-month-old in the middle of the night. They need their sleep too. And you chose to have those children, so it's your responsibility to take care of them. So no, you're not the a-hole for calling CPS. And I honestly probably would too, seeing as your granddaughter feels like the only way she can get out of her situation is to get pregnant at 16 and get married just so she can move out. So no, and I feel really bad for her, and I really hope that situation gets fixed soon. Am I the a-hole for not taking one for the team and not paying for my sister-in-law and her family to come on our spring break trip? Let's see. Twice a year, my wife, 3 kids, and I go on a trip with just us. During spring break, it is a domestic trip. During summer, it is an international trip. These 2 trips are my favorite things we do throughout the year. We live very frugally throughout the year, but during these trips, we do it big. The money for the trips comes from separate non-marital passive income I have from my family commercial real estate business. In case anyone is wondering, we have a prenup. After our trip last summer, my sister-in-law, wife's sister, told my wife that her husband and her are going to save up and come on next year's trip, i.e. the 2025 trip with her 2 kids. My wife didn't push back. I heard about this a couple of months later and was quite frustrated. I do not like my sister-in-law at all. It is a long story. My wife convinced me to be okay with it by laying out that they will get their own accommodations and outside some shared meals. I did not need to spend much time with her. Well, in January, my brother-in-law's job issued a return to office directive. He was working remotely and lived out of the state of his office. They offered a short window for anyone who did not want to return to resign and to get a good severance package. He resigned, took the severance. After that happened, they decided they could not come on the trip. There is a chance that they will need to sell their house and move in with my in-laws. Well, about 2 weeks ago, my mother-in-law, wife, and sister-in-law were spending the day together. My sister-in-law kept bringing up how upset she was about the whole thing and how much she was looking forward to the trip. My mother-in-law pulled my wife aside and said, "I know y'all can pay for the trip, just pay for it." So my wife offered for us to pay for it. After my wife told me this, I was livid. I said, "You want me to pay for the terrible experience of doing this trip with your sister? No, I will not do it under any circumstances. This is a 2 yes and 1 no situation. I am a no, so she isn't coming. My wife thinks I should take one for the team and pay. I refuse. I do feel bad for her kids, but I'm not paying for the displeasure of being around my sister-in-law. Heck, I have offered to take the kids only on the trip. I would be fine with that. They can stay with us, but right now I am left with either effectively doubling the cost of the trip or having them stay with us on the trip, which is counter to why I agreed to let her come in the first place. Am I the a-hole? No, I don't think you are, because your wife offered to pay for your sister-in-law and her family to come without even discussing it with you. I would be mad too, especially if I didn't like her. And your wife knows how you feel about her. So no, you're not the a-hole here, and honestly I feel like your wife kind of is for not discussing that with you. And it's not fair for your mother-in-law to just ask your wife to do that either, because just because technically I'm assuming yes you can pay for them doesn't mean you should have to. And if you can't afford to do something, then you just don't do it. Save up, do it when you can. So no, you're not the a-hole. Thank you so much for watching, friends. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know down below if there are any other topics that you would like for me to cover. See you next time.